You're listening to an Extent, with Timothy Case, a Blue Arrow Media production. I'm your host, Timothy Case, and the show is about my opinions politically and some of the things that you can base off yours or do your own research on. Just a disclaimer, this is my opinion. It's what I've got through my basis or what I've learned, what I've studied. And I've studied quite a bit for this subject that I am doing for you guys today. If you don't agree with anything that I do, or you just want to have a discussion about it, you can feel free to contact me at timcase17@gmail.com. That's TIMCASE 17@gmail.com. Now, today's show is about GMOs. So, a lot of people have a bad issue about GMOs. I'm a person that tends to be a non-biased individual. So, I need to have hard evidence to believe in this issue. GMO stands for genetically modified organism. Now, genetically modified, or genetics, is taught in high school, it's taught in middle school. It's basically finding one gene that's either dominant or recessive, and in a plant, in an animal, whatever, and getting a parent that has those same genes, having them create another animal or another plant that has either the dominant gene or the recessive gene. Now, if you do your own research on genetically modified, or on GMOs, genetically modified organisms, you'll tend to find a lot of biased information. And this biased information winds up coming from whole food stores or whole food websites and organic websites. Now, me personally, I don't mind organic. I love wanting to grow my own vegetables and having stuff like that as more of a self-sufficient thing. But when you're starting to promote organic material in a sense of that being the selling point, you need to look at what you're actually trying to sell. Because making organic things, yes, you're making it by hand, you're putting in the time and effort, but you're not making it as mass production like you can from a genetically modified organism or a GMO. Now, a lot of them are claiming that GMOs cause massive issues. They're saying that scientists have proven that GMOs are doing really bad things. That being said, these claims have been very outrageous to the fact that, like, they wind up growing extra body parts on you, which that is a completely false thing. The only way that can actually happen is if somehow it's producing the right amount of radiation to actually cause a tumor to form in your body. And there's no animal, no corn, no other GMO product that can do that. Now, I have to admit, there's some GMO stuff, if you think about it, like dogs, cats, things like that do suffer from a process similar to GMO. The thing is that what a lot of people don't realize is that these issues aren't necessarily genetics or genetically modified. It's actually because of inbreeding. Because you're taking a dominant gene or a recessive gene from one parent and realizing that that dominant gene or recessive gene is in its sibling. and making them create something. Now, this can only happen in like really advanced organisms such as animals. But for plants, on the other hand, plants are extremely simplified in that sense. So there's not really a problem with inbreeding. This is the issue that I have with a lot of people when talking about GMOs, because they go with what the Whole Foods or the organic websites or organic food websites go for, is saying that, oh, GMOs are bad for your dogs or bad for you, and it can cause cancer, it can do this, it can do that. That hasn't been scientifically proven. It's been biasly proven. It's been biasly proven that those do those things. You're associating a symptom that is not caused by that. So another thing that I have, and I do enjoy going into a Whole Foods store every once in a while, but I have an issue with most of the Whole Foods stores that I go into. For instance, a local one here where I live at is a Natural Whole Foods grocer. Every time I've been in there, the prices are extremely outrageous. Everything has that label organic, and I have another story on that one for you here in a minute. But everything's labeled organic. Everything is set at a higher price, and to me that doesn't bide well. Why is something like that, that's good for you, have to cost outrageous amounts of money for? You'd think it was the other way around. It being genetically modified, it takes time and effort for that genetic modification to happen. So why in the world does it cost more for something that's organic when you're not putting in that science to get it the way that genetically modified does? Now, right there I might sounded like I rambled there, but I think I did. And I'm sorry about that. What I'm saying is that genetically modified material is only genetically modified to produce, say, a bigger kernel or a bigger product with less effort, or mass produce it. This can solve a lot of issues throughout the world. The reason why a lot of people don't like it is because they've heard rumors of how bad it is for you. That being said, those rumors are being spread by big companies, or in a sense, big companies. They're not big as in a sense of like big tobacco companies or big food production companies like Malto Meal or General Mills, but they're big companies nevertheless. They're big companies that will slap organic on there. Another story about selling things at an horribly expensive price is when I was younger. I used to work at a grocery store, and I was stocking shelves, and I was actually stocking the breakfast food aisle, which had peanut butter down it. Now, with that, we were selling Adams peanut butter, and I was putting the Adams peanut butter down, put down chunky peanut butter, put down creamy peanut butter, and then I opened the case that said organic, Adams organic creamy peanut butter. I looked on the back of it because the price was extensionally expensive. Adams tends to be expensive. It was about, what was it? Almost $10 a bottle or a jar of Adams Creamy. And then for Adams Creamy Organic, it was $19. That's almost 100% jump between $10 and $19. I look on the back and the ingredients are exactly the same, to the point where the Adams Creamy said organic peanuts, and the Adam's Organic Creamy said organic peanuts. The ingredients were exactly the same, but for some reason, Adam's peanut butter slapped on the label organic, sold it as organic, and therefore they're making 100% profit off of that. They're charging more for that organic price. And I'm sitting here, I was 17 at the time. I'm sitting here looking at this and thinking to myself, why in the world would someone go out and buy this Adam's Organic for double the price, where you can get the Adam's regular creamy peanut butter, which is the exact same thing, for less? This is proven in a lot of things. Even Pepsi uses the similar advertising style. If you want to have a cherry Pepsi, it sounds okay, cherry flavored Pepsi. But when you put that wild cherry Pepsi, it adds a little flair to it, and it gets that thought, ooh, that sounds good, wild cherry. I want to be on the wild side. And with organic, that's that same mindset that you're winding up getting. When you see organic, for some reason, you get this thing in your mindset that, ooh, organic, it's healthy. It's going to make me lose weight. It's going to make me mile high energetic. It's going to make me feel like I've lost all these nasty ingredients in my body. The fact of the matter is, there is nothing different between genetically modified and organic items. The only difference is that genetically modified can be produced faster and bigger than organic can. Now, if you want to go out and buy organic foods, sure, go out and buy organic foods. As a matter of fact, I sometimes love to go and buy organic foods. I don't know if it's because of the taste or because, I sometimes like the thought that someone took in the time and effort to grow it without having to use science. But be sure that you're buying things for a purpose, rather than saying, oh, I'm buying organic because GMOs are bad. If you think about it, you yourself, you listening to the show right now, you are genetically modified from years and years and years. Your grandparents has one gene that they passed down to their children, and then your parents have a gene that they've passed down to you, and then you and your wife, you too are going to have that gene that you're going to be passing down to your own children. So in a sense, we have been genetically modifying ourselves for generations. In a sense, GMOs is just putting a science to something that we've been doing since the existence of man, since the existence of the world. And saying that genetically modified is bad for you because there's a science behind it is not a legitimate excuse. Unless there is a scientific proof saying that genetically modified things are actually causing massive issues, no one should think that genetically modified is a bad thing. Personally, I don't think they should. That being said, going into Whole Foods store, sometimes I like to, because there's a specific soda I like, or say there's a specific, there we go, I said soda, or a specific ingredient that I can't find for cooking unless I go into a Whole Foods grocer. So when I go in there, I am going to find a specific thing. I do look around and see things. I see that things are way high priced, more than they probably should. If you're wanting to have organic things and being on budget or being a cheap process, go and grow it yourself. It's going to be a lot cheaper than buying a carrot or a corn cob, or a batch of peas that have the word organic on it. It's going to be a lot cheaper